Yeah, so essentially what I'm going to go through today first is some compliance things, as well as, tips on how to make sure your page is complete. So when people go to your Facebook profile or your Instagram page, that all the information that needs to be there is there. We're going to go through why social media is important if you're not using social media yet, or you're not, spending a whole lot of time on it, why a strategy is important for growing that. And I'm going to go through the actual strategy. So obviously there's many, many different avenues you can go down with social media, but I'm going to share one that I find has worked for quite a few people, and things that I've heard it's the standard in social media marketing across all the industries. Then I'm going to share where to actually find content. So places where, you don't need to write your own blog posts. There are news articles and blogs being written that you can share, that are already ready to go. And then at the end, I'll also show you how you can automatically schedule posts to go out. So once you've, compiled all the different posts you're going to make, you can sit down and plan them out for, the next week or month or however long. So we're going to go through all of that today. So if you have any questions, just speak up or raise your digital hand or put something in the chat. I may not notice the chat as I'm going through this. So if I don't see it, just unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay. So first, for the compliance side of things, some recommended reading. So before you dive into social media, it's very, very important that you're aware of the rules around advertising online, specifically more so for Nova Scotia, for Melissa and Tara and PEI and anyone else on here in PEI. We always say it's a little bit of the Wild West. So it's not really as strict. You're bound obviously by like the Realtor Code of Ethics, the CREA Realtor Code, all of that kind of stuff. But PEI doesn't have a whole lot of rules and guidance on advertising and things like that. So Nova Scotia is very strict, which is why I've recommended here that you read the social media guidelines from NSAR, as well as the NSREC advertising guidelines. They're pretty not long, I would say. I think they're 40 pages-ish. Social media guidelines are 1 page, so it's not super long, but definitely something you want to review and make sure you're abiding by all of those rules. I will email these after the session as well. I have a document with a whole bunch of links, including links to these guidelines. For the Nova Scotia agents as well, there is a course on your NSAR Training Hub called Advertising in the Digital Age. It's listed as a general interest course, but in my opinion, it should be mandatory, which actually it goes through all of the rules, both through NSREC and NSAR. It has examples of things that are bad versus good, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. And that is definitely a very valuable course for you to take if you are doing any social media. So it is free, it's online. You just watch the video and do the quiz like all of the NSAR courses there. But please do that if you have not taken it. And if you don't know where to find that, just send me an email.
Hey, Jess.
Yeah.
Anybody that's licensed recently, if you managed to go through to stick through it, that was actually a part of the licensing program in one of the videos, but it was like an 1.5 hour video. And I think most people just kind of take that out after about 35-40 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
I stuck it out, but I had to do it in 2 sessions in order to get through it.
Yeah, I think it's about 2 hours. So
Yeah,
definitely if you don't want to sit and listen for 2 hours, try and break it up. But it's definitely very good content and things that you'll need to know as you're going through that. Okay. So because I'm not a broker, I can't tell you, yes, you can post that. No, you can't post that. So those would be broker questions. But I'm just going to go through the main things that should be on your page. So we're going to go through a Facebook page. Instagram's pretty much the same, the gist is the same, so you can follow the same sort of guidelines. So this is just our Keller Williams Facebook page as an example, but here are a few things you'll want to make sure you have on your Facebook page. So first is a header image. So that's this big image that goes across the top. That doesn't apply to Instagram, only Facebook, but this is valuable real estate on your Facebook page. Somewhere you can add eye-catching photos, somewhere to put the KW logo. You do need to make it clear when someone lands on your page that you're with Keller Williams. That's one of the big compliance things to make sure of, that, you know, it doesn't seem like you're your own brokerage, or that you're a real estate team if you're an individual, things like that. So just making sure it's clear that you are an individual agent or you are on a team, whatever the case is, and that you're with Keller Williams. So just make sure that that's readily apparent on your page. A profile picture is important. So that is, you know, a picture of you if you're a solo agent. That is important, you know, on social media. People want to put a face to the name. So if you're trying to be more personal with your followers or your audience, definitely having a profile picture with your face on it is important. If you're a team and this is your team page, having a team photo as the main image would also be a really good option. If you're not comfortable putting your face right up there, then using a logo or something along those lines would be a good alternative. Location. So typically that will be, you know, the office address that you belong to. And so you want it to be visible where you work, because one, Facebook's going to suggest your page to people who are in your area. But then people who land on your page, you want to make sure they know where you're based out of. Okay. And then your bio. So having a description on your Facebook page about, you know, who you are, how you do business, all of that kind of stuff is very important. It tells people who you are, why they should care who you are, things like that. So definitely important to have your bio or just a little blurb about you on your Facebook page or your Instagram. Okay. In the About section, you should also make sure that if you do have a website, that it's linked there, phone number and email address. So can they contact you? That's also very important. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to find that information. So nice thing with a Facebook page, when you put it in, it shows it right at the top in this About section. And usually there's a contact button at the top that will link people directly to call you or email you. Okay. Any questions about the Facebook page or what should be on there to make sure it's complete? No. It is very important that it is complete, because, you know, if you're making posts and linking people to your page, you want to make sure that they're able to find any information that they need to contact you or about what you do when they get to your page in that first few minutes. So that's why I want to touch on that. All right, so diving into social media strategy. So social media is the center point of everyday life now, especially with the lockdowns over the last couple of years. The whole world has pretty much gone virtual. Everyone's gone to social media. Everyone and their mom and their dog and pretty much anyone you know is on some form of social media. So they use that to obviously connect with family and friends, but also with businesses and brands the way they used to be able to in person. Now, obviously the world's opening back up again, but with how long we were in lockdowns and things like that, people do get stuck in their ways. And I think social media and all that is definitely here to stay. So it is very important. And if you don't want your posts to get lost in the crowd of everyone who's on social media posting, you need to make sure that what you're posting stands out, it makes sense, and has a purpose. That's what's actually going to captivate people and keep them coming back to your page, clicking that follow button so that they keep getting your posts. That's essentially what your goal is. You want to keep people coming back to your page for more information. Okay. Some of that information that people will find about you online, how long you've been in the business, how many listings you have, is completely straightforward. You can highlight it, but you really can't change it. Other information, which is created by others, like reviews and ratings, are also very important, but they're not within your control. What's within your control is the content that you're putting out on your pages. And so when we say content, we're talking about, you know, blog posts or just written posts, videos, imagery, posting your listings, things like that. So that's the content that you'd be posting, and you want to make sure that it differentiates you from other people. You don't want to look the same as everyone else, all the realtors who are in the market. You want to stand out from the crowd. And so this is what will give people something to go on when they're considering whether or not to hire you. But it's not just about creating content, it's about creating superior content. So you want to make sure that, you know, it's standing out in the noise. Years ago, potential clients only had a few options. They would call around to a brokerage, maybe they call their family and friends and get a referral. Obviously that stuff still happens, but nowadays most people's first instinct is to search on social media. Okay, so now there's unlimited options for them. So how do you make sure that you're being heard, your information and your content's being seen? It's by producing content that's better, more engaging, and more informative than everyone else. So that's sort of your goal. You want to make sure that everything you're posting has a purpose and it's actually going to provide value to people that are viewing it. Okay. So now that we know that content's important, how do we go about creating it in a way that is consistent, will provide value, and doesn't overwhelm you? This may sound overwhelming because obviously you're already overwhelmed, you're a realtor, and life is busy. So you don't want to add stuff in that's just going to take up a ton of your time. And we do this through something called content pillars. Now this is the strategy. So this is the first key element of putting together your content strategy. Okay, so what is a content pillar? A pillar is a set of themes or topics that your brand can use to create posts. We sometimes call them buckets. So they're going to serve as the foundation that you base all of your content around. It also helps make sure that what you're posting has a purpose and will be of value and doesn't get too repetitive. So to figure out what pillars to use in your social media, you want to think about 3 to 5 areas where your expertise overlaps with the needs of the people who are actually following your page. What does a potential buyer need to know, or a seller, or someone who, a first-time home buyer? What are the problem points? What are the things they'll be wondering about? And figure out how that overlaps with the information that you know. Okay, that's the sweet spot. That's going to be your pillars. So some examples of pillars for real estate, and yours may look different once you write them out. Things like property features and market information, educational posts, personal branding, local lifestyle, and testimonials. So those are 5 examples. And as we look at those, things that would fall into property features and market info would be, posting about your new listings and open houses. For buyers would be, accepted offers, firm sales, closings, things like market reports, business statistics, featuring certain areas, neighborhood features, whether it's stats or just information about a particular neighborhood, interior design inspiration even. So you can take that from your listing images or stock images, and I will share where to find some good stock images to post. But things like that are real estate related, more promotional. Okay. Then you get into educational. So with your experience and knowledge, goes without saying that sharing things like buyer and seller tips on social media is a fantastic way to not only help your audience in their journey of finding a property, but also to gain their trust and position yourself as an expert. Okay. Those genuine, authentic tips can create that relationship between you and people who are following your page, call them your audience, in a way that you can gain more leads because, they're going to think of you when they decide they want to buy or sell because they've been following you and you give a lot of really good information. Okay. So things like market trends also fall into this if you're educating people about the current market, the way things are going. I put fact versus fear in here, and there is an actual template for this in Designs, but it's essentially objection handling. So, those common things like, oh, well, I'm going to wait till the market cools down. Well, this is why you don't want to do that. And so it's kind of addressing what the common fears would be of a home buyer or home seller, and then obviously adding some fact in there. And then things like, how to prepare your home for winter, spring cleaning, those kind of tips that people are going to find value in. Those are great things to share as well. Going into personal life and branding, obviously having a personal touch when building your social media presence, can't go wrong with that. Whether you're on a team or you're a solo agent, your personal branding will give people insight into what you do, who you are, how you work, things like that. So photos of you and or your team if you're on a team. Share, recent events that you attended. If you're involved in the community, things like Red Day, or if you do your own volunteer things. Share photos from KW events, shows you're involved in the company that you work for. And then things like holiday celebrations can fall within this. So it's an opportunity for you to add your branding into your social media by posting about holidays, things like that. Okay. For community and local lifestyle, these would be things like featuring small businesses. You go to a restaurant, take a picture and make a post, highlight upcoming local events, and then local imagery, which could just be, a nice photo of the waterfront or a cool house downtown that you saw, anything that is local to your ideal client. Okay, it's going to help them. It helps you highlight the local area that you want to specialize in, but it also showcases it for potential buyers, and it's an opportunity for you to show how much you know about that area. Okay. Highlighting local businesses is also a great way to network, get referrals, things like that. And lastly is testimonials, which is pretty straightforward, but that's just, good reviews from people who have worked with you. If you have a buyer, ask them if they'd be willing to write a testimonial for you, whether it's, a Google review or a review on your website, or just sending it to you so you're able to post it and distribute it on your pages. Testimonials are a really, really great way to highlight the results you're achieving without coming across as, braggy or anything like that, because you're using the words of past clients who were happy with their experience with you. Okay. Any questions about content pillars? And those are just examples. I mean, you may have different things that are your big pillars that you want to create content for, and that's totally fine. I just wanted to give you 5 solid ones that you can start with if you're not sure where to start. So once you have those pillars, you're going to figure out what posts you can make to fall within those categories. And then you just need to find the content to actually post. So there's a few ways to deliver that content, and variety is key. You don't want to post the same stuff all the time, but images are a big one. Videos are really big now if you're getting into, Reels and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And then written posts. So it's good to have a variety, mix it up between the 3. But when you take these 3 methods of delivery, and then you look at your pillars and the different ideas you have, you can figure out, okay, I'm going to post an educational post today. Maybe it's an article about, like I said, spring cleaning your house in the spring. You can come up with a whole bunch of different posts, and you may be able to repurpose that into all 3 types. You might be able to make a video and an image and a written post from that one piece of content that you've come up with.
Yes, do they have a suggestion on frequency? Like, I've heard some people say that posting every day is an absolute must. Others are like once a week, twice a week.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I would say, opinions. I don't think there's any concrete one way that works better than another. I think it's more about the actual content that you're posting. You could post every single day for a year and not get any followers if the content you're putting out, no one finds value in, or they're not interested in it, or it doesn't catch their eye. So I would say focusing more, even if you only want to post once a week, make sure that that one post is actually going to hit hard and provide value. It's more about quality over quantity when it comes to this. I would say, I mean, you can't post, well, you can post too much, but, I would say 1 or 2 times would even be enough getting started. And then obviously organically more posts will get put in there as listings come up and all that kind of stuff comes up. But yeah, definitely quality over quantity.
So maybe just trial and error in the beginning, because there have been some things that I've put up gone, oh yeah, like that's good information. And I'm like, meh, people see it, nobody's liking it or commenting on it, but they're seeing it, which is good. But then I'll put up something entirely random and suddenly it blows up and I've got like over 100 people who are like, oh my God, that's so great, or that's whatever. And I'm like, what happened there? Like,
Yeah.
I feel somewhat lost in terms of what good content looks like, because I'm thinking like, just throw that up.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Definitely trial and error, like you said. You know, try posting blog posts or images. If that's not working, switch it up, post a video in between, change up, what content you're actually posting about. Just switch it up. Every social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, you have the ability to actually see your engagement and statistics, and you can look back and see, well, in May, I had a really big jump in followers. Well, what was I doing in May? And go back and see what type of content you were posting. So definitely trial and error. It's going to be different for everyone. Something that works in Sydney might not work in Halifax and vice versa. So definitely important to try everything, see what sticks, and then stick with that, basically. Okay.
All right. I feel more videos in my future. Damn it.
All right. So we're going to take a look at some real life examples. So real places where you can find this type of content to post. So I'm just going to switch my sharing here. All right. So I said this was not a command training. In my defense, I'm not actually going to show you how to do anything, but I do want to show you where you can find some things. So starting with that first pillar, which was property information, market stats, things like that. Designs is going to be your friend if you're looking to make some graphics to post. So things like your new listings, of course. There are templates in here. We're going to choose Social Square. These are already built. All you have to do is go in, fill in the information about the listing that you're posting, and then you can post it directly to social media. Okay, so there's all the different little milestones, just listed, just sold. Open houses are great things to post in that property category.
Jess,
Yeah.
just because I've seen you bring this up, I'm just going to ask the question right quickly. I was actually trying to create one of these this week, but I was having some real trouble, like trying to edit it, get my photos in there and things like that. And I'm probably just obviously not using it correctly. Am I able to schedule time with you so that you can show me how to use that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Just send me an email and we'll figure that out for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So this is a great source for those type of graphics when you're posting about a property. Things like neighborhood snaps, we have, or neighborhood stats, sorry, we do have neighborhood snaps. So these are for you to post stats about a neighborhood. There's all different formats as well. You'll see we have social as well as print. We're focusing on social today, but you can do square or stories, and don't underestimate the power of stories. These are great for things that, are important to your audience. They build that relationship, but maybe it's not something that, you permanently want featured on your page. A story stays up for 24 hours. You have the ability to add highlights and things like that. That's getting into the nitty-gritty of Instagram, but stories are a really great way to share this information without posting 18 times a day. It's just another avenue to send that information out.
Sorry, Jessica, where are you finding this? I looked away for 1 second. Or is it just on a website?
So this is actually built into Command. So it's the design
okay.
applet. Yeah. So when you go
okay,
into
perfect.
designs, that's how you get to this part.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So that's mainly for the property side of things. When we get into educational content, of course, the neighborhood snaps would fall into that. But when you go down to, it's lead generation. Yeah, under lead generation, we have what's called the personally branded zine, which is your own magazine. Now, this is already built for you. There are actual articles in here, and I am going to click use just so you can see what this looks like. But this is released quarterly, so there's 4 per year each season. And so this is the summer version, and you'll actually find articles in here. This is all built by KW. You can customize it as you want. You could build out this whole magazine, print it somewhere, and distribute it to your VIP clients. That's what I've seen people do. Some people will just convert this to a social media post. Some people will copy and paste the articles and post those on their own website, whatever you want to do with it, you can repurpose this type of content in so many different ways. So I'm just going to open up.
So Jess, I've actually struggled to do this.
Yeah.
I think I was doing it like in an email format. It was like a newsletter idea, and not to slag on designs, but I was really struggling to get the content to stay and to get formatted properly. And then of course I'm trying to think of the content as I'm typing it. And I was like entirely lost. And I'm a great strategy person, but the nitty gritty of the content, like I am not good.
Yeah.
At all.
Science does have its, I don't want to say it's perfect. It's come a long way, but it does have some quirks. So definitely if you have issues, just send me an email. Sometimes there's a workaround, or it might not be an obvious way of doing it, but it does work better. There are some ways to make it more functional. But going through here, like this is the fact versus fear that I was talking about. So this is 4 first-time homebuyer tips to overcome your fears. And this is stuff, when you click on this, if you double click it, you can actually copy this and paste it somewhere else. So you don't necessarily have to keep this in the magazine. This could be an Instagram post. This could be a blog post. This could be, you know, whatever you want it to be. And then as you go through the pages, they are here where you can customize them if you want to, but they're not like generic. They are actual tips and content that you can use. Okay. So if you do have trouble using that, just let me know. It's not loading very well, but there are a whole bunch of different articles in here, different tips for home buyers and home sellers, just general seasonal tips, things like that. So like I said, this
is stuff you've already created. So this is actual, like we don't have to edit this. This is stuff we can just copy and paste and post and stuff.
Exactly. There
But
are
some of the
things,
other stuff in designs, you have to edit it to make sense for your own. Because that's where I struggle, is the content piece of it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I'm not a writer. I just, so that's where I struggle, right? I'm like, yeah, I could go in and post every day, but I don't know the words to put there.
right. Yeah. So this is what was built. This is KW that built this. And so this was intended to be something that, you know, all you have to do is switch it so it fills in your name, make sure all the logos are right. Definitely read through as Canadians because a lot of stuff, not a lot, but a good amount may refer to American terms. So just obviously proofread it and make sure that it does make sense. But this, you know, it's not just.
You do have to, like, you definitely do have to go through, because I did try to take a listing presentation there, like from it, and like almost all of it was very like, all the terms and everything are very like American and stuff. So I do struggle with that as well. Like I don't necessarily trust all the info because I don't know if it's relevant, or like, obviously if I read it, I do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily know if it's the right thing I should post because it's not Canadian. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Definitely fair. And definitely feedback that we've given. We want some more Canadian specific things. So that is something that we're hoping that they'll change up for us a little bit more in the future. But yeah, definitely proofread it, make sure that everything is relevant to the Canadian market. The listing presentation does have a lot more of that kind of stuff because there's checklists, you know, navigating people through the home buying process, which is very different in the States, things like escrow and things like that. So definitely making sure that the actual terminology is correct. But for the magazine, it is a bit more general. It's more just general tips, and this one's objection handling. These kind of things do, you know, translate over the border. So this is just a great place to find some content. Like I said, you may not use the magazine as is. It may just be coming in and maybe you post one of these tips once a week and it's your tip Monday or something like that. I'm not sure, but you know, there's strategies around that, but it's just somewhere where you can find a little bit of content to post. Okay. So that's the magazine. Let's see what else in here. Down in the templates, there's a category at the very bottom under collections called Pivot Shift Ahead. And there are a few graphics in here that will be really helpful for just adding that additional educational content. So a lot of these were created during COVID, so how to stay K like a pro, and has some tips about that. But there are some other ones that aren't as time sensitive. So money saving home improvement projects. This is one where you just have to switch the logo and you post it. Custom walkway. This one is the fears versus facts. So it does go through the different obvious fears of a home buyer or home seller, and then the fact. So they're already filled in as well. Then there's other posts, gratitude posts, thank you posts, all that kind of stuff that you can use just to fill in that content for building a relationship with your followers.
And just to reiterate again, all of this is customizable.
For instance, Jess, the three at the bottom, how's the market? Those numbers,
Yeah.
those are obviously just placeholders.
They are, yeah. So you would go to something like Market Stats for people in Nova Scotia who have access to that. And you're probably figuring out the stats for a particular market, wherever you serve, whether it's HRM or Sydney or Charlottetown. And so this is just a generic one. It has new listings, sales and closings. And so you're just going to fill in the appropriate number.
Okay.
Something like the neighborhood snaps, which I showed at the beginning, that's actually automated. So it does pull from the neighborhoods. So if you search Lower Sackville, it's going to pull that information in. You'll just always want to double check it against Market Stats just to make sure that the information you're putting out is correct.
Right.
Sometimes if there's different ways that it's inputted, it may not recognize certain listings or certain stats. So just make sure you always proofread it before you put it out, especially things like this, which are actual factual stats about the market. Okay.
Thanks.
Jess, I just have a quick question about our websites, the
Yeah.
KW websites. Are we actually able to put a blog in there?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, so we'd have to have our own website if we wanted to start putting up blog posts.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. It requires some extra coding and then some formatting and things like that, but it won't be optimized the way an actual blog would.
Mhm.
That might be something to look into, some sort of blogging platform if that was something you're interested in.
Okay, thanks.
There's holiday graphics. So like I mentioned, adding holiday posts to your Facebook and Instagram and all of that is a really great way to, engage with your followers and acknowledge and celebrate those kind of holidays. So September, for example, we'll have Labor Day. Labor Day is here. You will find American holidays in here as well, but they do make specific Canadian graphics. There was Canada Day. We have Canadian Thanksgiving in here. So there are some Canada themed graphics as well. So that's where you can find holiday graphics that are already made. Again, you just switch the logo and then you can post it. And then testimonials. There actually are templates for testimonials. So in both stories, Social Square as well, all you have to do is paste that person's review. If they emailed it to you, you can paste it into that graphic and then post that on social media. So these templates are here for you as well.
Is it, I say kosher to ask people to give you a testimonial?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to be doing that. There's different ways to collect testimonials. There's Rate My Agent, which I believe, Sherry, you have that. You've done a training for us on that before. The KW agent sites, you have the ability to put a testimonials page on there, as well Google reviews, Facebook reviews, things like that. You can always repurpose those. So yeah, definitely reach out to clients once you close, ask if they'd be willing to, write a testimonial. Nothing wrong with that.
No, and actually I'll change that a little bit and just say, don't wait until they close. Once they get an accepted offer and it's gone through conditions, once it's firm, I would get the testimonial then, because they're really loving life. They think you're amazing. You've done everything right, that, you're an angel in their eyes.
Right.
Once they get close to closing, they are so in their headspace of where they're going or where they're moving into. They don't know who you are anymore, and they love you, but eventually they're just going to kind of forget. So best to get them as soon as you go firm.
Right. Okay.
A good tip.
Good. Thank you.
No
Thanks, Sherry.
problem.
So those are some places to find graphics and templates for those kind of posts. Going into the other methods of delivery, there are also videos. So that's things like, Reels, TikToks, but also just normal videos that you can post. So you can make those, of course, but if you don't want to make them, there is the option to create a neighborhood snap video in Command. So again, not really a command training, but you can actually plug in the stats about a particular neighborhood, and it's going to create a video that you can post. A few people have used these, but when you click Create Design in Command, you just choose Video, and then you're going to search for that neighborhood. Scotia. Okay. It's going to fill in some neighborhood stats. Again, make sure that these are correct. So always double check on Market Stats or Paragon, wherever you're getting your stats from, and make sure that that information is correct. Going to fill in features about that particular neighborhood. These are just in no particular order. Your information will pull in from your marketing profile, and the Market Center information will also pull from your marketing profile. Okay. So once you put all those stats in, that's all you need to do. It's going to generate a video. May take up to 10 seconds. And actually, I'm just going to reshare this because I don't have the sound on. Yeah. This is what the video will look like. That's a super easy way. If you have the stats already made or already figured out, plug them into a video, and then that gives you something else to post. This also doubles as a way to promote your KW app, KW website, things like that. So if you have that set up, that's another great way to promote that and get people signing up on your app. Any questions about the video or the graphics? No. Okay. Next up would be written content. So of course you could do a blog yourself, but there are a lot of different places that are writing content that you can actually share with your audience to, educate them, inform them on the market, give them tips, things like that. So a few sources where you can find this. One is NSAR. So there is the NSAR news page here. So you'll find under latest stories, changes to the down payment assistance program. Those are great things to share when any of those rules or programs change. Different stories like that. There's statistics here as well from NSAR. So if you're in Nova Scotia, that's a great place to find content to post. So let's say we open this one up. All you have to do is then copy that link, put it on Facebook. You want to write a little bit of information. Some people will just, take a blurb from that actual article, put it in quotations, and then link the article. You don't have to come up with a fancy caption for it. Just quote part of the article that you think will catch people's eye, post with the link, and then you can share that. So there's lots of different articles through NSAR. Another place is Krea Cafe. And I am going to share all of these links with you, so you don't need to note these down. I have a document with all of the links, which I will share with everyone here. So next is Krea Cafe. So this is actually, yeah.
My hand can't keep up. I'm like, my notes, I'm taking my notes. That's enough.
Yes, no worries. Yeah, I will share all the links. So Korea Cafe is Korea's blog news website. And so there's stuff that's informational for you. It's a great place for you to go to find information, about improving your business as a realtor. But then there's also posts on here for you to share with your database and your followers. Rate increases, pros and cons of owning multiple investment properties. There's 200 pages of articles that you can use. Okay, they don't have to be posted right now. If the content's still relevant, you can post it even if it was from a year or two ago. Okay. Those are two great places to find different news articles. Of course, the news itself, CTV, Global, those kind of places. The housing market is a hot topic in the news, so there's no shortage of content for you to share from there. You may also want to include photos. So if you were sharing an article through Instagram, Instagram's very photo based. Facebook, you could just post a link with a description. On Instagram, you have to post a photo with it. So stock images will be your friend if you don't have an image to post. And I will share, I have 3 or 4 different really good stock image sources. One is Pexels. So this is somewhere where you can actually find images to use anywhere, really. You build a website, you can use them. They're all royalty free. You can use them for commercial purposes. You can post them directly on social media or your website. But all you have to do is search for whatever topic you're looking for. So maybe it's backyard tips that you're sharing. You might look for photos of a backyard. And so then you can find photos that you're allowed to share because this person has made them available on here as a royalty-free image that you can then post onto your social media, just as eye-catching content. Okay, so you can search for anything in here, kitchens, houses, whatever you want. So there's quite a few different websites that are good for this, and I will share all of the links for those. I also want to touch on Outfront. So that's KW's like news blog type website. I don't really know what to call it, but a lot of it is, most of it's for you. So training for you, education for you. But every month, and you'll see me share these on our Facebook page, they will post prompts for every single day of the month for social media. So they do it for every month, like I said. So if we go into August and you look through, it actually goes through each individual date and it gives you a prompt for something to post on that day. Okay. Is that a back to school commercial on TV? Highlight the schools in your area and share insights. Summer will be over in the blink of an eye. Highlight a local business owner or vendor who closes up shop once the season's over. Encourage your audience to book before the month ends. So just different ways to find posts within those pillars. Once you figure them out, whether you use the ones I gave you or you have your own, you can kind of look at these and see, okay, which category does that fall within? And then start to plan that out. So there's a prompt for every day. You don't need to post that actual post on that actual day, but use it as ideas. Even if you're alternating them through the month, you may only like 10 of the 30, but you may be able to change them up and create variety within those posts. So this is definitely one you'll want to watch out for. I do always share it now on our internal Facebook page once it comes out. So keep an eye out for that. But that's just outfront.kw.com. Again, I will share the link to that.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. And you will
Yeah, I
find
really like that.
yeah, there are posts like this one, the path to home ownership begins with a budget. That's something you could share with your Facebook followers or your Instagram followers. Okay. So there's different categories. There's training, there's viewpoints, which are just, inspirational stories. That's another way to, if you want to, incorporate some KW branding, some KW stories, that's a great way to do that. Technology, of course, is just mostly for you, and same thing about performance. Those are things you can share as well. They're stats about KW specifically. Okay. Now, when it comes to actually posting your stuff on social media, of course, you can just go write a post and click post, but in order to save yourself time and to not drive yourself insane, I highly recommend sitting down, even if you do an hour a week, plan out 3 or 4 posts that you want to go out and pre-schedule them. There's a couple ways you can do it. If you're only using Facebook, Command will work really good for this because it does not connect to Instagram yet for social posts. So in Command, in the Campaigns applet, there is a social posts tab, and you can schedule posts to Facebook and Twitter. Those are the only two. Instagram is not integrated into that yet. But all you have to do is click create campaign. You're going to upload the photo you want to put, add the link or the caption that you want, and then you can choose the date and time you want it to post. And so this becomes your content calendar. So you can always see, you know, what post do I have coming up this week? You can schedule them like a year in advance. So you can sit down and do every single holiday for the rest of the year. It'll only take you an hour, but that's at least maybe 12 posts that are now going out on your page in the next year, if you have all of those holidays set up. And in this section, I do want to point out there are quick posts. I've done a video on these before, but these are already made posts for you with a photo and a caption. So they'll put new seasonal ones. I mean, this one's coming up with fall, so it's talking about pumpkin spice, football, cozy clothes. If you've been waiting for the right time to sell your home, your wait is over, send me a message. Okay, very simple, but these are ones you can basically, you click it and you post it. Okay, so these do already have the captions, like I said, in there, so you don't have to think of anything to write. You can customize it if you want to, but this is just another place to find pre-made content for you to post if you're not sure what to put out. If you are using Instagram and you want to be able to post to both Facebook and Instagram, there are a lot of different things that you can use. A lot of them you have to pay for, like Hootsuite, Planoly is another one, but Facebook has this built in and it is free. It's called the Facebook Meta Suite, Business Suite, and it looks like this. So if you have a Facebook business page, there will be a link to your Meta Business Suite on it. Okay, you can schedule your posts and you can make it go to both Facebook and Instagram. So you only have to do it once and it goes to all the places. But my favorite part is if you are using stories, you can pre-schedule your stories. So if you have a new listing going up at 2 o'clock today, you know it's going to go live at that time. You can actually schedule your post and a story sharing that post all at once. Okay. So all you would do when you get here is click create post. Then you're just going to start building it. So you upload your photo or your video if you're doing a video, put your caption in there, and then you can choose to publish it now, or you can schedule it for a specific time. It will also tell you optimal times. So that's actually pulling data from your Facebook followers or your Instagram followers of what time they're actually active on social media. So if you have 300 followers, let's say, and maybe 100 of them are always active between 5 and 7 p.m. It's going to tell you that you need to make this post at 6 p.m. because that's when a majority of your followers are online. Okay, so it'll give you some optimal times like that, which you can choose, or you can post it at a particular time that you want.
So is this just for business pages?
Just for business pages, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I know I have a page, but I don't know if it's a business page.
Most pages do fall within that business page like category, but definitely check. You'll know if you go to it and you see the business suite. I'm not sure if you can create a page that's not a business page. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, definitely something to check. You can, if that is the case, especially with Instagram, you may just have a personal Instagram account. It does need to be a business account. So it's something to keep in mind.
Okay.
And you do need to have a Facebook business account to create an Instagram business account.
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram are linked. So if you go to create or switch your Instagram to a business account, it needs to have a Facebook business page to connect to.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So I know that's a lot of information to throw at you. We went through what type of posts, what categories you may find your posts in, the types of posts, so graphics, videos, written posts, and then how to actually post it. Of course, if you don't want to go through scheduling, you can, like I said, post things one by one, just as you're getting used to social media. But if you're getting really into the nitty-gritty of a strategy, you'll want to be scheduling these out, because you can spend your Sunday evening scheduling these out, and then you don't have to think about it all week. You know that your posts are going out and social media is not in your brain, and you can focus on more important things. Not that social media is not important, but there are more important things in your realtor life. So
I actually did that for like a month and a half. And I had people commenting to me like in real time saying, "Oh, I loved your post today." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I gotta go look now. Yeah,
It was pretty cool.
so yeah, I'm gonna share this cheat sheet with you. So it has links to those guidelines that I mentioned, has links to where to find those articles, where to find royalty-free stock images. And I actually didn't share this, but I do have links to the event pages for the most common areas. I will add the one for PEI. I thought I put it there, but I have it. I just didn't put it in the document. And so that's where you can find upcoming events that you can share as well. So that is another way to add that local aspect, share upcoming markets or conferences or anything that's happening in your area. These are great places to find those. So I will send this out to everyone who's on here. But yeah, is there any questions or anything I didn't go through or anything that wasn't clear?
No, that's